Hey everyone, it's White Cross, and you have joined me for the Gold Rookies First Purchase Volume 2. This is Modern Gold $5 Commemoratives. If you are joining me for the first time, I appreciate you spending some time with me here today. I hope that you'll subscribe to the channel so you can find out about all the rest of the videos in this series. If you are a returning subscriber, I really genuinely appreciate you being with me here again today. It's great to know that I'm putting out videos that are hopefully informative and also entertaining. And if you are returning, but you haven't yet subscribed, go ahead and click on that subscription button. These videos are designed for the rookie gold buyer, so somebody who hasn't made a gold purchase yet. And the thing that all of these items that we're talking about in the series have in common is that they have a very low price point. So most of these will cost somewhere in at current gold prices around $500, maybe a little bit less. And I think it's really important for somebody who's dipping their toe in the water for the first time. There's always the chance you're going to make some stumbles and some pitfalls, and I'd much rather see you do that on a $500 coin versus a $2,000 coin, or even worse. So that's what the thread for all of these are. Individual items that I have specifically picked out for you new buyers to consider. There is a vast, wide open array of different items that are out there. These are just some of the ones that you can buy. But I think that each of the items in this video series have interesting attributes that make them ideal for first-time gold buyers. I like to begin each of my videos with a disclaimer. I am not a financial analyst. I'm not trying to give you financial advice. I'm simply trying to give you some of my experience, share my experience as I've been buying and selling gold and silver and rare coins for the last 30 or 40 years. And I begin each of my videos, if I can, with a concept to think about, and hopefully we can apply that a little bit later. And the concept that I wanted to share with you for this video is AGW, actual gold weight. Where does that come into play? Modern gold bullion coins tend to be 24 karat, that is 99.9% pure, or 22 karat, that is 91.67% pure. But the pieces that we're talking about in this video, and several of the pieces in this video series, this Rookie's First Purchase series, are a lower percentage of gold purity. I don't want that to scare you off. The ones that we're going to be talking about today are 90% pure, and that 90% purity has been used for hundreds of years. It's a known and trusted purity, but it's important to understand that when you're buying something that is alloyed with other metals, in this case it's 90% gold and 10% copper, you don't really care about that copper. You don't want to pay for that copper. You're just buying the gold. So these pieces, any gold bullion piece, any silver piece that you're buying, if it's been alloyed with something else, you need to look for that AGW, the actual gold weight. That's really what you're concerned with. So that's the concept I want you to think about, and we'll address that a little bit later in this video. So these are modern American $5 gold commemorative pieces. These are pieces that have been made to commemorate a special event, a certain date, or a certain person. And the United States Mint began making commemoratives in about 1892, 1893, the 400th anniversary of Columbus discovering America. There was a big exposition in Chicago, the Columbian Exposition, and the United States Mint made our first commemorative coins for that. The interesting thing about these commemoratives is that they were not really meant to be spent. That wasn't the idea. The mint made a little bit of money off of them because they knew that they weren't going to be spent. They charged a little bit higher amount for them. A silver $50 could be selling for 75 cents, and the mint kept that extra money. That was a money-making process to help fund the exposition, and that seems to have worked because the United States Mint continued to make commemorative coins up until about 1954, and then we kind of stopped. And with a few fits and spurts along the way, like the 1976 200th anniversary commemorative bicentennial pieces that we released, you've probably seen some of those bicentennial quarters and change with the 1776 to 1976 date on them. Those are commemoratives also. but we really didn't make very many commemoratives between 1955 and when we started making these pieces that I'm showing you here today. They really started in the early 80s. And we decided that we would make gold commemoratives that were the same weight, same purity, and the same face value as the classic gold pieces that we used to have in our circulation. Back before 1933, we used to spin gold because it was money. So the United States Mint started making commemoratives coins in the early 1980s, and they decided to make them the same weight, the same purity, the same size as our classic $5 gold pieces. It's important to note that the $5 value on these coins that we're going to be talking about here today is really an NCLT, that is non-circulating legal tender. The $5 face value doesn't really matter that much. It's not like you're going to go out and spend these for $5. The face value does have an impact. It works into the way the mint records the product that it makes over the course of the year. It also helps in counterfeits. It's a lot more legal to counterfeit something that's American currency than something that is not. But for all intents and purposes, especially for our purposes here today, that $5 face value really doesn't matter much. It's just kind of a symbolic $5. So classic gold pieces, these are some classic gold pieces that actually circulated before 1933. These are American gold $5 pieces, and this is an example of a modern $5 gold commemorative. They are the exact same size, the exact same shape, and the exact same weight, the exact same purity as the classics. The modern pieces, the classics, the exact same thing. There are some fantastic attributes to these pieces that I'm going to talk about, and I've got some examples here you can watch while I'm kind of explaining some of the things that are nice about these pieces. They each weigh 0.24187 troy ounces. So each one of these is just shy of a quarter of a troy ounce of pure gold. That's the AGW, the actual gold weight, 0.24187. So if we have a theoretical daily gold price of $2,000, remember the price of gold fluctuates wildly right now, but if we just assume it's $2,000, each one of these pieces contains 0.24187 of that value, or just shy of a quarter of it, or roughly $500. So like all of the items in this series, that low price point is there to protect you from buying something that's very expensive. I would rather have you make a mistake, if you're going to make a mistake, with something that has a relatively low price point. And these pieces have that relatively low price point, somewhere in the $500 range, given a theoretical $2,000 price of gold. So it's a low entry point. That's one concept there. That's one plus to these. Another one is that they have very low premiums. And I harp on premiums a lot. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know that the premium is the amount that you must pay over and above the value of the metal contained within these coins, be it silver, gold, or platinum. The premium is the amount over the value of the precious metals, and that goes to pay the seller's profit, keep the seller's rent paid, keep their lights on, pay their employees. It covers the spread if they bought this piece high and they're selling it to you if the market has slipped down a little bit. So the goal is not to avoid a premium. Really, it's to have as low a premium as you can, all things equal. Because if you have a low premium, you are able to spend more money on precious metals, and that's definitely what I want for you to be able to do. So these pieces in particular, these modern gold $5 commemoratives, have very low premiums. And we'll touch on that one a little bit later. It's a very interesting concept. They have gorgeous designs. This is the early 80s. This is the Olympics. And you can just see those beautiful designs on these gold pieces. I love some of these designs. They are instant classics, beautiful works of art in their own right. And I do feel like aesthetic is an important thing. If you've got the choice between something that is attractive and something that's not attractive, all other things being equal, I'd much rather have something that was beautiful in hand. So beautiful pieces, a beautiful aesthetic for a lot of these pieces. They cover so much different interesting areas, different commemorations. that you can usually find something that appeals to you regardless of what your hobbies or interests are outside of precious metals and even coins. Some of these have amazingly low mintages. A mintage just means the number that the US Mint made. And compared to a lot of modern circulating coins, and even a lot of modern precious metal bullion pieces, some of these pieces have very low mintages in the few thousands up to the few tens of thousands of pieces. That is a very low mintage for a modern produced coin. And when you have low mintages, sometimes that means that these pieces will increase in value over time numismatically. There are no guarantees in this life. There are certainly no guarantees when it comes to values of coins and precious metals. But if you're given the choice between something with a very low mintage and something with a very high mintage, I would opt for the thing with a very low mintage because at least there is the possibility there. So low mintage, that's another one. And there are some minuses to these pieces too, and I want you to be armed with as much knowledge as you can. While I think these attributes are amazing, there are some negatives. The first is that they are not a specific fraction of a troy ounce. We've talked about some of the modern gold pieces that are on the market right now. These are 1/10 eagles, an easy fraction. If the price of gold is $2,000, these are worth 1/10 of that amount. There's also a quarter eagle, a quarter maple, a half eagle, a half libertad. There is the full ounce version, and there's the full ounce version of most of these modern bullion coins. But these modern $5 commemorative pieces, remember, are kind of an unusual weight. They are 0.24187 instead of 0.25. It's not that big of a downfall, not that big of a minus. Because if you're got the price of gold at $2,000 and you're trying to figure out how much a quarter ounce is worth, you're already multiplying that price of gold by 0.25, that's a quarter. So to multiply it by 24187, 0.24187, 2 extra buttons on the calculator. Not that big of a deal, but it's important that you understand that it's not an easy fraction. They are also not pure gold. The market right now seems to be favoring 999 pure gold or even more pure, and these, once again, are 90% or 0.900 pure. Now, the 90%, 0.900 purity has been used for hundreds of years, and it is what our classic coins were made out of going back 150 years, and it is a known and understood and trusted alloy, but it's not pure gold. It's important that you understand that difference. And while the premiums on these tends to be low, that could also be understood that the demand is low, at least lower than some of the modern bullion pieces that are on the market. So those aren't very big negatives, but I think it's important to understand that there are at least a few kind of negatives involved. They're not pure gold. They're not an easy fraction of a troy ounce of gold. And that the demand may be a little bit less for these than it is for some other items that are on the market. Honestly, I don't think that any of those are deal breakers. Important that you're at least aware of them, though. So, what to look for? If you have decided that you maybe want to pursue some of these modern $5 gold commemorative pieces that have come from the United States Mint, some items to look for. I think that it is beneficial to look for the uncirculated versions. So this is an uncirculated $5 gold commemorative. You can see the finish is kind of a matte finish. It's kind of almost dusty looking, not particularly shiny. It is, it's gold, so it's got that cartwheel luster, and it's a beautiful piece. But compare it to a proof. Here, in my right hand, you can see those black and white fields. That is a proof coin. And proofs are specially made for collectors. Obviously, all of these pieces are really made for collectors, but the proof pieces are typically made for collectors. And in this series, the modern $5 gold commemorative series, the proofs always, not always, but often seem to be made in greater quantities than the uncirculated versions. So the uncirculated are the ones that I look for. But if I can put it in here one more time. In my tools that I use, I try to emphasize that you buy a red book. This is a guidebook of United States coins. And one of the great things about the red book is that it will tell you what the mintage is for the proof version, what the mintage is for the uncirculated version. And given the choice between the two, I would rather have the one with the lower mintage. Now, you have the option, if you like the way the proof looks, you're buying just for gold, essentially, for these pieces. So it's really a personal preference. But given the option of the two, I would probably opt to get the smallest mintage, and that is often the uncirculated. So just keep that in mind. Look for a complete set. So when these were first issued, they come with an outer sleeve, and then they come with this inner box. You open up the inner box, and there is this inner box. This is a velvet-lined clamshell case is what we call that. And then you open it up, and there's often a certificate of authenticity beneath this. You're going to want the certificate of authenticity too. So I like pieces that are complete. I like sets that are complete. The original clamshell case with the certificate of authenticity, the original inner box, the original sleeve. I want all of those pieces to be complete. And also kind of look for this original capsule that the coins come in, this clear plastic case. The Mint does a really good job with these. They are nice and tight fitting, and they really do a good job of protecting the coin. So that's what I look for when I'm looking for these, as complete as possible. A caveat, they get to be a little bit of a bear when it comes to space, especially if you have dozens of these like I do. They do take up a lot of space with all of these little cases, but I would rather you have something complete, because if you need to, you can always toss that. Really, the guts of it is just the coin and the capsule, so it doesn't take a lot of space, but you at least have the option if you're buying that complete set with all of the little cases and packaging. The most complete is often the best choice. At least it gives you options. So look for those complete sets. Remember the certificate of authenticity. Take your loop with you. That's another inexpensive tool that I said that you should probably consider in the tools that I can use videos. And I'll put a link to that video down below. An inexpensive piece of equipment. It gives you a 10 times power look at these pieces, so you can really give them a good once over and see if there are hairline scratches, if somebody popped it out of the capsule and dropped it on the floor. If you're given the option of several of these pieces and you're buying them in person, always take an extra few seconds and just take a look at them. You'll be surprised sometimes somebody will slip a slightly damaged or scratched piece back into the case. You don't want that if you can avoid it. And there's one pointer that I really need to make very clear with these pieces. These are $5 gold pieces, so they have a $5 value on them. Remember, that's non-circulating legal tender. That really doesn't matter very much, but this is a $5 gold piece that weighs 0.24187. This is a 1/10 eagle. It weighs 1/10 of a troy ounce, or 0.1 of a troy ounce. And it too has a $5 face value. The one stumbling block for these pieces, especially if you're a new buyer, that people may equate these. And it's clear to see that one that weighs almost 1/4 of an ounce is so much bigger than one that weighs 1/10 of an ounce. But they both have that $5 face value. Why? I don't really know. The United States Mint, when they released the Gold Eagle coin, decided to give it a $50 face value. So necessarily, a coin that is 1/10 of that size would have a $5 face value. Again, non-circulating legal tender, you don't really care about that face value, especially when we're looking at gold, but it's important to understand the difference. The 10th Eagle in the Gold Eagle series $5 face value, we're not talking about those. We're talking about these $5 commemoratives that have been made from the early 1980s, and they are still being made today. Several of them are released usually every year by the United States Mint. So definitely understand that concept. And now I'm going to give you a little trick, and this is a special trick, so I'm going to whisper it to you, and I don't want you to share it with anybody. I, for years, was buying these sets, and I started buying these in about 2004, 2005. the price of gold was down really, really low. So I would pour myself a nice adult beverage on a Friday or Saturday night and set myself up with eBay. And I would scan through eBay looking for these sets. And I was able to buy a dozen or 2 dozen of these for about $120 a piece. It almost seems funny now, but that's why I have the pieces that I have here. And this is the super special secret trick. White Cross's super special trick for you. Remember, we said that you can just take the price of gold and calculate it and multiply it by 24187, by 0.24187. So that's the amount of gold in each one of these gold pieces. And I did the quick calculation today before I started shooting this video. That means the gold value of this piece alone is about $481.96 as I'm filming. It's $481. Look online on a place like eBay, and you can often find these sets for less than $481, or whatever the price of gold is the day that you decide to look for these sets. Why is that? Dealers buy these and they buy them at a pretty big discount, and their goal is to turn them around and flip them as quickly as possible. So when I started buying these sets, I would figure out how much the gold was worth alone, and then I would hunt places like eBay looking for a good quality seller, and then I would buy these pieces whenever I found them less than the value of gold. And you may be thinking that's ridiculous. It won't happen. I guarantee you it will happen. Now, it doesn't happen every time you see one of these for sale. Sometimes people think that they're worth a lot more than they are, and they will charge an enormous premium for them as a collector's set. But a lot of dealers want to burn through these as quickly as they can. It may take you a while to find one of these like I'm talking about, where you can find the set for the value of the gold alone, but there are sets out there. You just have to put in some legwork. Why does it matter? Because the sellers often don't include the silver dollar. Each one of these sets, the 2-coin sets, there are 3-coin sets out there, and we don't really care about those, only for the gold that's in them. The 3-coin sets often contain a $50, and those $50 are usually clad. They have no precious metals in them, and they're worth exactly 50 cents. But if you're buying the sets that have the solid silver dollar in them, the seller will often throw that in for free. The seller isn't paying any attention to the silver dollar. They don't care about the silver dollar. Trust me, it may take some legwork. It may take some doing. But the worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to find some of these sets with a very low premium. In the best case scenario, you find these sets where you pay for the gold, shipping is included in the price, and you get the silver dollar for free. Why does that matter? The silver dollar is the same weight and size and shape as our traditional classic silver dollars. So each one of them contains about 0.77 of a troy ounce of pure silver. And anytime you're getting pure silver thrown in with a nice gold coin, I think that's a fantastic benefit. Doesn't happen every time. Give it a shot and see if you can find that. And I'm going to put up some pictures here of closed eBay sales really recently, where you can see how much less these pieces sold for. And these are actual sales. These pieces actually sold at these prices. Now, the price of gold may have been a little bit less than it is today at $481.96 for one of these coins, but you can see how much less these pieces do actually sell for. You just have to keep your eyes open. Worst case scenario, you're getting a beautiful coin that is almost a 1/4 ounce of pure gold, backed by the full faith of the United States government, with a $5 non-circulating legal tender, but a $5 face value. And they are beautiful sets just to put into your safe deposit box or wherever you're keeping your precious metals, and forget about it. And that's what I've done. I pick these sets up constantly back in the day, and I just have a safe deposit box that is full of a couple dozen of these. And it's nice to know that they're there. They are liquid. You can sell them pretty easily. Remember that because demand is low, sometimes you're not going to recoup any premiums that you pay. But again, if you shop around, you can find them with little or no premium. So another interesting option, video number 2 in our Gold Rookies First Purchase series, modern gold $5 commemorative coins. Stay tuned for the rest of the videos in the series. We'll be talking about modern restrikes. We'll be talking about classic American gold coins like these $5 gold pieces here. We'll talk about the British equivalent of it, that's the British sovereign, and we may have a few extra videos that we'll be able to throw into the mix. If you have any questions about these pieces that we've discussed today, go ahead and leave a comment down below and I'll try to answer that question for you. If there are any other gold vehicles that you'd like to see me cover in this Rookie Gold First Purchase video series, leave a comment down below and I'll see if I've got the knowledge base and the products that we can share that information with you as well. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, I hope you'll take advantage of this opportunity to hit that subscribe button. And as always, thank you for allowing me to be a part of your journey as you go deeper into the world of physical precious metals.